Thank you, folks. I'm Vishwanath Jakka, part of Cisco. I'm a product manager in the data center solutions. I'm focusing on emerging technologies, cloud, containers, microservices. Today, in the next 15-20 minutes or so, I'll talk about the high-level perspective of what Cisco brings to the table in the container and microservices space, and how we help our customers adopt it and help themselves with their business. So before I go with that, quick agenda here, I want to spend a few minutes on the containers and microservices trends that we see, the analysts see, the industry sees, and some of the challenges that our customers have shared with us. As you can see here, in the next 3 to 4 years, the adoption of containers, the running of the microservices applications and instances is expected to grow exponentially. I mean, not exactly exponentially, but a high level of high degree of growth, 200 plus, 100 plus percentage CAGR over the next 5 years. There are a lot of interest. There is a lot of advances happening in this space. And some of the common use cases that we hear from our customers is how do they adopt new technologies, be it containers, microservices, or whatnot, to increase speed of their business, they increase the efficiency, and they are going through application refreshes. So some of our customers have been running, the enterprise customers are running the legacy applications for a long period of time. They have their own different architectures, monolithic versus microservices versus multi-tenant applications. So as they refresh their data center, their applications, their infrastructure, that's one of the areas, one of the places where they think they should look at new technologies and new architectures to make it better for themselves. At the end of the day, as we all know, as companies grow, as the customer expectations grow, nowadays it's all about having what they want in a short period of time. It's all instant gratification. Nobody even cares about waiting for months or days or weeks, etc. So it's all instant. With that in mind, customers are looking at delivering whatever they need faster and on a regular basis rather than waiting for a 6-month cycle, 1-year cycle. So those things are not acceptable anymore. So these are some of the common use cases that are driving customers to look at newer technologies, in this context, containers and microservices. So that said, some of the other things that to keep in mind is how many people are already actually adopting it, and while they're adopting it, what are some of the challenges they're seeing. As in this survey that was done early last year, so roughly 50% of customers are adopting or using containers and microservices in varying stages. Of the 50% of the respondents, many of them already streamlined containers and microservices in their mainstream their adoption, whereas a few more they are looking at adopting in the next 12 months. So as you can see, a lot of growth there.
Is that UCS customers surveyed?
No, this is industry. This is not a UCS specific. This is industry survey. So yeah, good question there. So this was not conducted by Cisco. This was conducted by independent group. Okay. Yeah. So that is the adoption trend. However, one of the things that came across as part of the study is the challenges for that. So one is on the technology side itself. So most of the enterprise customers, they do not have the skill set required to deploy containers, to deploy microservices, and to adopt microservices architecture. So there are multiple challenges, multiple questions they have in this space. The other thing is the deployment worry itself. So many of us have gone through some of the open source deployment challenges over the last few years. I'll not take names there, but yeah, the complexity has been the complexity in terms of deploying it in one place, integrating it with the existing business, and then maintaining it and growing it as you go along. So these are some of the challenges that these respondents shared with the analysts, and this is consistent to what we hear from our customers when we have discussions with the Cisco customers. So it's not just the independent survey itself, but as Cisco, we heard a similar inputs as well. So with that in mind, we have a broad portfolio of offering products, technologies, and solutions in our portfolio to help our customers in this journey. As a envelope, we have analytics and security. That's key to many of our customers, and that's what we offer with our tetration and security portfolio across all the products and industries that we work in. Within the container space and microservices space, I'll kind of go through the various layers I talk about here. Let's start with the physical infrastructure. The UCS, HyperFlex, Azure Stack, and Nexus for the server, compute, and networking space. Then within the container networking space, we have Contiv, that's our container plugin. I'll talk to it in a while. Then we have storage options for our customers to consume, based both local storage, server-based storage, as well as shared storage, working with a bunch of our industry partners. Then we provide the option of various orchestration layers with Docker Swarm or with Kubernetes, depending on what they're interested in. And at the top of it, none of these things work well without proper management, proper monitoring, or optimization. So we have multiple options there in terms of optimization, monitoring, automation, be it through scripting or automation tools, or with some of the products that we have in our portfolio, App Dynamics or Cisco Workload Optimization Manager, and a broad set of partners as part of our broader ecosystem. So in the next few minutes, I'll go through some of the individual pieces here. First, let me start with the options that we offer for our customers in terms of integrated infrastructure. So Cisco, it's all about offering choices to our customers. We do not want to force our customers to one particular technology or method of deployment. So with that in mind, we have three different options that we have. So, and the options depend on the nature of the applications. Is it a stateless application versus a stateful that requires persistent storage? Is the deployment model on-premise or hybrid cloud? Or if they have any preferences from a storage perspective for enterprise storage. So if it is stateless applications and then not many storage requirements, you could potentially go with the Cisco UCS stack, partnership with Docker here. And if there are some enterprise storage requirements and persistent storage requirements, the customers have the option of using our FlexPod architecture with Docker Enterprise Edition. Or on the other hand, if customers are Microsoft Windows-specific customers who have Windows-based applications, we provide the option of Azure Stack running on Cisco UCS, but they can continue using their Azure deployment model, usage model with Azure Stack on-premise. So they have an option of running their applications and microservice applications in a hybrid cloud environment, and have the same experience. So all this it's not just a picture here. It's a validated effort that we have put in the hard effort, working with the partners, working with the technology leaders in the space to provide the assurance and the guarantee that our enterprise customers look to Cisco for. As you say here, so design choices, it's a highly available and scalable architecture. All these things have been jointly engineered, working closely with Docker, with NetApp, with Microsoft on developing these solutions. And the key thing that our customers like is the single point of support that we offer. So when a customer adopts any of these architectures, they don't have to worry about figuring out where the problem is, figuring out who to call, and so on. So they can call Cisco, and we'll take care of the customer and any of the issues that they might be facing with their installation. So CVDs, or Cisco Validated Designs, this is the kind of the leading process that we follow within Cisco when we develop any of the solutions that we build. So it's based on requirements from our select customer engagements. We work with thought leaders in the space, technology leaders and thought leaders in the space, and we go through a product development or an integrated solution development process wherein we put in the right requirements and figure out the right use cases to address, and develop a tested and validated full architecture that customers can adopt without any worries. With that, let me quickly go through three of the architectures I talked about. My colleagues will talk about these things in a little bit more detail, but I'll quickly highlight a couple of things that are part of these solutions. In the UCS only solution running Docker Enterprise Edition, all the architectures leverages the key differentiation we bring to the table through UCS. So how many of you are familiar with UCS? Okay, cool. All right.
Can you speak to it for a...
Sure, absolutely. That's the reason yeah. So Cisco UCS or Cisco Unified Computing Systems, it's a policy-driven compute system wherein you can describe or define the server characteristics that you need, and then the system will go and provide you the resources you want. So you can think of it as a UCS system abstracting the identity of a server. When I say identity, I'm talking about worldwide name, the MAC addresses, the IP addresses. Like there are some 150 attributes that are associated with a server. All those things are encapsulated in a software entity called service profiles. That is what allows Cisco to be differentiated when compared to other server vendors out there.
So the easiest way for me to understand this is for you to compare it to something similar in the market that might be better known.
So let me use the example of your smartphone. You can think.
I mean, from a vendor.
Nobody else has this kind of capability.
So this is infrastructure as code, though, isn't it?
Compute as code. That's right. Compute layer as code.
But when you provision this, you're saying you describe it in code?
That's correct. Code as in, so it's a service profile. The entity, with the software entity within UCS management, it's called service profile. So that's where you define the MAC addresses that you want for your Linux, the boot order policies, the firmware versions, let's say if you have multiple boot devices, boot order. There are, like I said, roughly 150 attributes that you can define as part of the service profile, and that is unique to Cisco UCS.
Once your machines are provisioned, does this cover the software as well?
Software. I mean, no, only comes up with the firmware, the required firmware. Then you can tie into other management pieces that to auto load your OS and applications. So it's a stateless machine, and if you're using shared storage, using LANs, so you can boot off of those LANs, and your software stack can come up as soon as the system comes up.
It's just an extra abstraction layer that eases the hardware management for you. So it's really like very sophisticated and quite awesome, actually. But it's really on the hardware space.
Thank you. You said it better. So yes, let's think about this. Like let's say you deploy a server with let's say 10 cores and 100 gig of memory. But a few months down the line, you need to support let's say 3 times or 4 times more the workload. In a traditional environment, what you have to do is roll in a new server, you provision your network switch, your storage SAN, your backend LANs, and so on. So that would take you probably a month or so to all of these things to work out. In the case of UCS, you bring in the new physical server with the new additional cores and memory, you plug it in, and you point and click on the UCS Manager console to say, okay, move my service profile, that is the server identity, to this new physical server. Within a matter of minutes, the whole system, the whole application will come up on the new server as if it just rebooted, but it's running in a new server with the new resources.
So a key attribute of that doesn't have to be web driven. It can be done via API as well.
Thank you. Yes, so it doesn't have to be console. It's all API, XML APIs, open APIs, and we have integrations with industry leading tools.
Is the concept that the block storage is outside of the machine and that?
The shared storage, yes. If you have shared storage, that's when that ease comes into play.
If you have local disks as well?
Local disk, no. Then you have to either move the local disks or you have to deploy the same thing. Yeah, that's right. That's why I was mentioning the shared storage piece earlier. Yes, that's right. So that's the one piece of the UCS differentiation. The other thing we bring to the table is called virtual interface cards. So it's a single card with 2 physical ports. However, you can create up to, depending on the configuration, you can create up to 256 virtual interface cards. Especially helpful, I mean, especially powerful in a virtualized deployment when you have hundreds of virtual machines running on a physical server. So you can create virtual NICs, one per virtual machine. This gives you better control, better visibility, and better configuration capabilities that you can use for best of the breed performance for your system. And you can these are the 2 things we are leveraging in a container space as well. That's what makes it powerful for our customers in terms of blade and rack. Yeah. And the other thing is that the form factor agnostic. It doesn't matter if it's blades or rack servers, you get the same capability. So many of our customers, they are like kind of standardized on blades or racks. So that's where we bring a difference to the table. All right. So that's the stateless. So this is the other option we have with NetApp, with our partner NetApp, with FlexPod. Here, this solution is interesting for customers who are looking for persistent storage. If the applications, the container or microservices applications are looking for storage persistency, you would want to use this solution here. Then for our customers who are focused on using a hybrid cloud model or invested in Microsoft Azure, now they can use the same deployment model, but bring it on-prem. And if they're looking into bringing it on-prem, we have UCS-based Azure Stack available for customers to deploy. So this solution is specifically in tech preview. We are working on it, and if you're interested, we can certainly go into details on this one. Okay. So that's on the infrastructure options we have. Now let me go talk about our other options we have with the other option in the container space. So far all this stuff I talked about was with Docker, using the Docker at precision. But we also have an option for customers who are invested in Kubernetes. So we have reference papers out there on how to run a container stack using Kubernetes as the orchestration tool. So you can use Kubernetes standalone, or you can use it with Red Hat's OpenShift running on top of UCS. Once again, you have a similar set of capabilities that you get, similar options, but this is an option that we have. So the same underlying UCS differentiation in terms of service profiles, templates, policy-driven architecture, and the open APIs apply for all these options, irrespective of the storage layer, networking layer, orchestration layer. All these capabilities are applicable across the board. So quickly, I will touch upon the UCS. Many of you know about UCS. We spent a few minutes on UCS as well. But key thing I want to highlight in this slide is that we just released 5th generation of UCS servers in the last month or so. Here, you get more bang for your buck, higher density servers, form factor, flexibility, and additional storage and memory for your system. So by combining UCS M5 servers and by combining the containers and microservices architecture, customers can get a lot of benefit. So with just the UCS itself, you get a number of benefits in the enterprise application space for VDI, virtual server deployment, as well as enterprise server legacy application deployment as well. You can carry over and take it forward the same sort of advantages for your container and microservice architecture. So at the end of the day, it's all about bringing best of the breed and the latest to our customers in partnership with be it Docker, be it with some of our automation and tool partners like Puppet or Ansible, and also built on top of the UCS and Nexus value add here. So let me touch upon a few pieces within the system. So let me talk about Contiv. Contiv is our Cisco-led open source project for container. It's a container plugin for networking, and it has security aspects built into it. It works with multiple orchestration and container stacks. It's a policy-driven architecture provides the same set of capabilities that we talked about for UCS on this compute side. This provides the same sort of flexibility and capabilities for the container networking space. It works with OpenShift, Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, and it has multiple levels of integrations in terms of networking with ACI, what runs on any platform and with any networking. Okay, so I'll skip these things because my colleagues will be talking about this in the next few minutes here. So the other thing that I want to talk about is the application and infrastructure monitoring and optimization. So it's not just that you want to run your stack, you want to make sure that it runs seamlessly, it runs in an optimal manner, and it's optimized. It's a automated system that runs seamlessly over a period of time with minimal interaction. So one of the things we acquired App Dynamics a year ago. My colleague Harish will be going into detail on what they bring to the table in terms of application monitoring. It's a industry-leading distributed application and microservice architecture tool. It provides high levels of monitoring and optimization for your applications. Then within Cisco's portfolio, we have Cisco Workload Optimization Manager. It's in partnership with our technology vendor called Turbonomic. This tool, the App Dynamics focuses on the application and microservices layer. Workload Optimization Manager focuses more on the infrastructure that runs the containers and microservices. It takes care of UCS, Nexus, the hypervisors or bare metal, and it analyzes, it simplifies the system, and it automates any orchestration that you need to do to optimize your system environment.